Welcome everyone to part 3 of my photo review series here on the channel.
Welcome everyone to the third installment of my photo review series here on the channel. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a magazine, more specifically one of the online publications that I write for. So we're going to have a look at the main feed of the magazine, and we're going to critique some of the photographs that I see that, I'd like to talk about, just like I would an Instagram portfolio or a photographer that I find interesting on Instagram, like I did in the previous first and second photo review videos. So let's begin. Corta. Right, that's enough of the intro. It's time to get into today's video sponsor, which is no one, because I don't have any. But I would like to say thank you so much to DODHO Magazine and the editors of DODHO Magazine for letting me review their online platform and some of the bodies of work, some of the images that we're going to see on the main feed of their website. Okay, so a little bit about DODHO Magazine just before we begin. DODHO Magazine aims to showcase probably one of the highest photographic calibers of work that I've seen across a lot of magazines, predominantly interested in bodies of work that showcase stories. So when someone submits on DODHO Magazine, they generally submit more than one image because they want to basically showcase a collection of work that aims to tell a particular story or narrative. And that's kind of how the magazine works. So many of the photographs that I will be critiquing will be part of a much larger body of work. I hope that kind of makes sense. So let's begin reviewing some of the work and some of the works presented on DODHO Magazine's main platform, on their homepage. And let's just take this one, aerial photos, a collection of aerial photos by, I can't pronounce this name for the life of me, I am so sorry, but I will try to leave an Instagram handle somewhere along the top right or left corner so you can have a look as well, so you guys can have a look on Instagram or his website and see. I'll leave a social link somewhere. Anyway, what I like about this collection of images so far is that you can actually, it looks so weird, and I'm pretty sure this has to be edited. Like, I don't think there's an airstrip anywhere in the world that has planes in such close proximity to one another, so I think this has to be in some way edited. But I actually love this because I have never ever seen such a weird project, such a weird collection of images like this. I mean, it almost looks like, I don't know if you remember the old, I don't know if you guys remember the old Lego, but like the old Lego that you used to buy that came with like a map, and it came with like a grid where you could place, cars and like lorries and trucks, and it was like the weirdest. You could like basically build your own city, and you had a map to start with, it was like a grass, almost like a grass film kind of map. It was weird. It was really weird. But that's what these images remind me of. It's so crazy how he's almost done this mosaic type of portfolio, especially when you get down to the images here of the trucks, and like this one in particular. This one really reminds me of mosaic, It looks like you could spin this and say that this project is about overpopulation, and this project is about the idea of the 2-meter distance rule that everybody has to stick with because of quarantine. And you could say that this project is, these trucks represent us because, we're overpopulating the earth, so on and so forth. But when I look at this, I just think of mosaic, I think of mosaic work, like the Romans used to do with the mosaic, the tiles on top of the tiles, on the tiles next to the tiles. That's what this reminds me of, but the photographic version of it. Like, it just looks like, you could argue and say, oh, that's supposed to represent ants, that's supposed to represent us. But it just looks funny in a way, and it could be a serious project. Don't get me wrong, this could be a serious project. because you could take it that way, and you know, for example, the one here, the very last image here of the green fields, that automatically reminds me of when you're in an aeroplane and you look out the window and you see a ton of like farm fields just attached to one another, and it looks so perfect. And that's what that photograph is to me. And you could argue and say that photographs like that are meant to represent the idea of overpopulation, and I think that's maybe what he's going for. But I don't know, like, I find this to be in some weird way kind of funny. I don't know whether that's just me, but let me know in the comments what you think about this initial portfolio, because that's my overall opinion about it. The next one, let's have a look at, whoa, this perspective is cool. Let's have a look at this image. Street photography by Michel. I can't pronounce the second name, I'm very sorry. I will again try and find an Instagram handle and leave it on the top right or left. Unsure whether this has been taken on film or some large format, but yeah, this is the image that I want to look at. That's such a cool image, you know. It's such an interesting perspective. I mean, this is clearly taken on like a bus or a metro, you know. This is like some sniper shit where Michel has gone with a camera and taken a picture like that. You can tell he's either pissed off or he's like, what are you doing? That's a good image. I like that. The expression, the angle, it's like, this is what you call a cant angle in photography. So when somebody takes a picture at a very awkward angle, something that's not straight and that's to the side, but like really on purpose, and you can notice that, and that's what this image is, and it's really, really cool. I like it. Oh, this image of the taxi is awesome as well. I really like this image of the taxi. The fact that the guy's illuminated just half of his face is really cool as well. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm not sure whether this was taken post. This couldn't have been taken post COVID-19, because nobody here is wearing masks. And pretty much everywhere I know, you have to wear masks now. So this was probably taken before regulations kicked in. But yeah, some of these photographs are really interesting. More than others, to be completely honest with you, more than others. For example, I think where this portfolio lies is in its awkwardness. For this image here, for example, is like really awkward, and I think this image is really cool. Because you have a main subject, which is the lady right here, and that's her expression, and it kind of mirrors the first image of the guy in the bus. So it would have been cool to have seen just a collection of just those types of people with those types of expressions. That's what I think I would have done with this, or that's where I would have taken with this portfolio. Next.
It said next.
The next set of images that I want to critique is this one right here, and I actually had my eye on it, to be honest, because I like it, but I also dislike it. For me, this set of images is twofold, and I'm gonna explain why. The reason why I like it is because I really, really like the subject matter, and I really, really like the fact that this photographer was actually trying to create a project and a body of work that is very, very interesting. Now, what I dislike about it, and I'll go to this image right here, which is the main image. What I dislike about it is the color correction. I think that the photographer should have probably spent a little bit more time color correcting this image. Now, I don't know if this photograph was taken on film or if it was taken on a DSLR. I'm gonna assume it was taken on a DSLR camera. But I do want to give, I would have liked to have given the photographer the benefit of the doubt. However, in my complete professional opinion, I would have color graded this completely differently. I would have either have stuck to a black and white medium and gone with a black and white photograph for this image in particular, or I would have definitely toned down the saturation, because for me, these images are way, way too saturated. Like, like saturation in a really nice way, and then you have saturation in a really bad way. This for me is like saturation more towards the negative way, more towards like the not so good way. And it's such a shame because I love, like, this image here, for example, is so interesting. Like the expression and the action and what this gentleman is doing, it's so cool. But I just think that the oversaturation ruins the whole thing. You don't need to be so oversaturated with photographs. And really, realistically, sometimes less is more. And I know that in documentary and street photography, you always want to bump up the action, and you always want to make it seem like what you've captured is so important and so, I don't know, necessary. And in this case, yeah, like the saturation of the colors of these beads or whatever it is that he's chucking into this furnace or fire or melting pot, whatever this is, yes, the saturation, the color is important, don't get me wrong, 100%. But it's just so oversaturated, like the rest of the image. It's just so oversaturated, and I don't think that needs to be the case. Not oversaturated the images as much, not giving it so much clarity, being a little bit more kind to the colors, to the natural colors when they were taken in the camera. I'd like to finish off strong and talk about Camille's work here on Dura magazine. And this portfolio here, the reason why I say I'd like to finish off strong is because I think this is a great example of a mix between documentary photography and landscape photography. You have images like this, for example, that are a lot more about composition and are a lot more about the color and a lot more about the red, the yellow, and the gray house and how that contrasts against the whole white landscape. So you have this really weird sort of melting pot of images that clearly this has to be about, you know, survival, and it's about understanding the way people live within a particular landscape, a landscape that the majority of us probably wouldn't be able to live in. So that's why I like this project so much, and you know, you have this idea of the hunter mentality, which that photograph right there encapsulates quite nicely. This is a good photograph in my opinion, and I like the idea that that's what this whole project seems to be about. It seems to be about a community that has to survive in this freaking tundra to you know, live. So that's what I like about it. And you know, you have pictures that just are about the landscape, such as this one, which is very, very nice because you see the vast eternity of this icy landscape that these people have to, you know, survive in. And then you get photographs like the interior decor of their houses, you know, which is a lot more, like I said, it's a lot more documentary style, it's a lot more documentary based. You get to see the exterior of their houses, the conditions that these people live in, and I like it. I like the contrast of landscapes and documentary photography, this being, in my opinion, the most powerful of all of the images. Yeah, this is very strong. I don't really have too many negative words to say about this. I wish I would have been there to take the photographs themselves. So do let me know in the comments what you think about this particular project, whether you've ever had an experience with you know, in a similar situation. If you are a photographer and you focused on a project like this, please do let me know in the comments what that experience was like. And do let me know what you think about this final portfolio, this final collection of images. Thank you everyone for sticking around until the end of this video. If you have made it, do consider subscribing and hitting the like button. And once again, thank you so much to DODHO magazine for letting me review the online publication. Do stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace, guys.